today I'm sitting in my crawl space. Why might you ask? Well, I'm putting away my first box of potatoes. This is where we store our potatoes. We store them in the crawl space, and then as we need potatoes, I crawl down here and bring a little Kroger sack or something down here and gather up potatoes. We store our sweet potatoes down here too, by the way, and this is where we store them. And then I come down here and get them as we need them, and they keep really well down here. The variety that I grew the most of stores really well, so they'll keep down here 8 or 9 months. We'll still be eating on these potatoes when it's time to plant next year. So uh, they're a good variety to grow, and that's why I grow them. It's called Kennebec. It starts with a K. They're a white potato, but they have a skin on them like a Yukon Gold. So if you like a thin skinned potato, they're great. Uh, Russets probably store a little better, but if you eat a russet, unless you're baking it, you have to peel it. These you don't have to peel. The skins are so thin, you just cut them up, wash them off, cut them up, cook them, and they're great. So that's why I really like them, and they store good. But let me show you here. And so here, I take 2x4, and I've just got a couple of concrete blocks underneath it to get it up off the ground so that they're not sitting on the dirt. And it's right against the wall. Here's the way in and out here. And so I just stack them up on that 2x4, and never mind the extra drain pipes laying around in here. I had a plumber here come in here a couple of years ago. We still had the old ceramic sewer lines running out, the old trunk lines running out. I had him change all those when we remodeled our kitchen. I had him change all those. We had some galvanized steel supply lines, or not supply lines, drain lines coming off like from the shower. This bathroom on this end still had the old galvanized steel drain lines, and they were broken, corroded. Those things are junk. So, they've been here for 40 years. So I don't know how junky they are, but they'd corroded, one had broken, and put a fern coat on it, try to fix it, and it just stayed, clogged up. So I had him come in and take all that out. So it's all PVC and copper under here now. Everything's uh, new, fresh plumbing all throughout. So this is just leftover piece of some leftover pipe that he had left over, and he left it in here for me. And so now maybe I'll make a deer feeder out of it or something. I don't know. But anyway, as I was saying, I take the potatoes, I put them in, I lay them out in the garage. I've got like a fold out table, just a black fold out table like you buy at Walmart. I've got it opened up, set out in the garage, and I dump my potatoes on it. I let them sit there for 3 or 4 days. It lets the skins harden up, because when you first dig them, you can, with your thumb, you can just rub the skin off of them. So you want to give them a couple of days to kind of harden up. And like, some of them are going to be scarred from the fork or from you digging them. You want all that to kind of scab over, just to those scars to heal up. And then I put them in the milk crates, and I set them in here, and keep them. They keep all year. They keep really good in here. But in the spring, when they've been in here for 7 or 8 months or something, you'll start to see the eyes pop out. Uh, which then you could take those and plant them, and which I did. I did plant some of them, but the red ones and the purple ones, it looked like something alien was in those milk crates. Their eyes were 2 feet long. They were sticking out everywhere. Which I planted. I planted some of those, but these keep really good. They'll stay good and firm, and they'll hold up for a good long time. And it's what we eat. We won't buy any more potatoes till probably about the time to plant potatoes next year. We'll be back to buying potatoes. So let me grab this box of potatoes here and set it in here. Now let's go dig some more. Well, we might dig some more. We'll see. clouding up like it's going to rain, but I need to get these potatoes out of the ground so that I can get the grandpa beans planted. And so I'm really looking forward to getting that so that I can tell the story of the grandpa beans. It's a really unique story. Nobody else in the world has these beans but my wife and I. Nobody else is growing them, so they're one of a kind. But let me flip this camera around and we'll take a quick garden tour. Sweet potatoes growing in the straw bales. These vines, they've come across the fence. Trying to work my $100 selfie stick, so bear with me. Let me see. They've already come out and touched the ground. So there's those. They're doing very well. The castor plants are getting huge. You can see. Blueberries are done. I didn't really get many berries off of them, but the plants are healthy. I had a raccoon get in my garden. The fence can keep the groundhogs and the rabbits out, but it can't keep the raccoons out. He came in and tried to decide to eat my popcorn, so I'm probably going to end up pulling that up. It'll make picking tomatoes much easier. So popcorn's cheap. These cherry tomatoes in here busting out everywhere. Look at this one. She's starting to turn. Looking forward to that. And then the salt rollets are also starting to ripen. So I told you before, those will turn yellow at the bottom and kind of purple at the top. Uh, delicious tomato. Those those quickly became my favorite tomato last year was those salt rollets because they're so unique tasting. They don't taste like a regular tomato. They're very sweet, almost citrusy, almost like a pineapple. Instead of turning this camera around, can you see the beans hanging? Let me turn this around. You see the beans hanging back there? Oh yeah. Be picking beans again here in a couple of days. But here is the task for today. The potatoes. I know they look green from a distance. When you get up and look at them, they are dying out. Notice they're dead right at the stems. These are still green where they're going into the ground, but the number of dead outnumbers was at least pretty equal to. They're all dying, but the ones that are brown, like these that are going into the ground, yeah, it's at least even between what's still green and what's dead where it goes into the ground. So I'm gonna dig those up. I brought my wheelbarrow in here today. I'll just dig them and throw them in the wheelbarrow because it will be probably a couple of buckets full. Bees will just put them in the wheelbarrow and wheel them out of here. So I'm gonna get started on them anyway, and then see how far the weather lets me go, and I'll get back with you when we get done and let you know how many I got dug. Before I start that, I was talking about zucchini and squash last week. I was here looking at them a while ago. I was talking about vine borers and how vine borers attack them. You see how gnarly that looks? Where my finger is, there's a hole in the vine right there. That's where the vine borer goes in. There's another hole. You see it's cracked and split. It's not a matter of if, but a matter of when. What was the worst one? Maybe it's this one. Yeah. See that hole right there? I don't know if you can see that or not. Zoom in on it. Right there. And what they do is they basically eat the plant from the inside out. Now the plant will lay over it. It will struggle along and still put on some fruit, but they're on their last legs. So when I get these potatoes up, I'm going to pull all them up. These do not go in compost because they've got those bugs in them and they've got disease on them. It's just something that a cucumber, squash, watermelon, plants like that, pumpkins, anything like that. Uh, Tomatoes too, by the way, and nightshade families like you don't want to compost tomato plants or uh, eggplants, pepper plants, all that stuff. You want to get that stuff out of your garden when it's done. Get it out of your garden and throw it away. So these will go. I'll throw them out in the yard. Just run over them with the lawnmower, mulch them up into the grass. It won't hurt the grass, but you don't want to leave it because you're going to plant more stuff in here next year in your vegetable garden. Uh, you don't want to keep that disease in the soil. And those insects, so you're taking those insects out with you as you go, but they're going to come back anyway. So when I get done, I will get these potatoes dug, get these pulled up, and then I have these right here. Next project, and I need some dry time to do it. And these are the black beans. I'm gonna try to get you down in here and show you. See those white ones in there? Now notice they're starting to turn yellow. They're dying off, and it's time to pull those. Now a lot of people don't do beans like I do. And when I grow pole beans, I pick them and pick them and pick them. But when I grow bush beans, like those black beans or like the grandpa beans we're going to plant here, it's a one-time harvest. I can plant those grandpa beans, and in 45 days, they're up, mature, with full beans on them. 45 days to somewhere in that 45 to 60-day range, we'll pull the whole plants up. We'll sit out here in the shade, my wife and I, and we'll pull the beans off of them and throw the plants back over in the garden, let them compost. But we get one harvest off of them. But we usually grow a bushel and a half, a couple of bushel a year of those grandpa beans, and then we can them. We put them in jars and put them up, and we eat on them all year. So that's how I do bush beans. I know a lot of people will get out here and waller through them beans and pick them and leave room to get in between the rows. My back, I'm too old and too fat for that. My back can't do that anymore. So I just plant them thick, and there'll be no walking in them. There'll be no getting in between the rows. I'll plant them thick. This will all be beans, except I'll leave a path down the middle to get to the ground cherries and the raspberries down there on the end. And it'll all be beans. And then it comes time to pick, I'll bring the wheelbarrow in here and she'll sit out there in her chair and I'll have a chair out there with me and I'll pull them and wheel them out there to her and she'll start plucking them off. When I get them all pulled, I'll sit beside of her and we'll talk about the Bible. We tell Bible stories or theology and we have those kind of crazy conversations as we're pulling the beans off the vines. And then we take them in and break them up and put them in all the containers full of beans and stick them in the garage fridge. Everybody needs a garage fridge. And we keep them there until the next day, and we get our jars cleaned, and we put them in jars we can, and we put them put them on the shelf, and we eat them. So that's what we do with them. So anyway, let me get off here, and I'm gonna start digging some potatoes, and I'll get back with you in a few minutes. All right, it's starting to rain. Got one row dug. Still got a row to go, and I said when it started blushing, I was gonna pick it. So my tomatoes are starting to ripen. Look at this, this joker right here. It started to show, and I'm not gonna take a chance on a bird find it and start picking at it. So I'm gonna lay it out and let it finish off. Yeah, not a bad day in the garden. Not a bad day in the garden at all. Yeah, I got to get this stuff in the dry because those potatoes do not need to be wet. Putting them up to dry out, they're just causing the mildew, things like that. So I need to get these. That's why I stopped. It's just starting to drizzle right now. What the moisture you see in my face is sweat. That's hard work. I'm gonna put these in the dry, and maybe if it doesn't rain much, I can finish them off tomorrow. But this has been your gardening real estate agent with another day in the garden. Remember, Jesus loves you, and call me if you need any help buying some dirt. Thank you for watching.